In this session, I'm going to introduce you to the world of machine learning, wherein I will be initially talking about what is machine learning all about, the typical advantages of applying machine learning for various predictions, for various decision making activities. So we will be talking about the various applications, uses of machine learning and a few abuses as well. Then, now that machine learning has become a part and parcel of many decisions, we need to talk about the ethical considerations regarding the data. So we will talk about a few important importance of ethics as a part of using the various machine learning algorithms. Then we will try to understand how exactly the machines typically learn. When we are using the word machine learning, what is the process? How do these machines learn? What is the kind of input I need to give to these machines to learn? So what is this overall machine learning process? We'll talk about it. So how do they really digest the learning? So we'll talk about a couple of stages during the learning process. One being the abstraction phase. So whatever I am teaching, the machine is doing some kind of an abstraction and it is representing, converting that information into a knowledge. How it does the generalization based on the abstraction, right? This is how, if you start thinking, even the human beings start learning things the same way, right? I do a teaching, then each one of you have your own way of doing the abstraction of the things, and based on the way you do the abstraction, you generalize it and try to reproduce and try to apply it to the new scenarios. So that's the similar kind of an aspect the machines also do. So we will talk about the abstraction as well as the generalization phases. So how do I really assess whether the machine has really learned something better or not? So we need to do some kind of assessment whether the machine learning process is successful or not. So if I am given a data, right, I am given a data, I am asked to create a machine learning model. So here I would be talking about what are the various steps to apply machine learning to the data. So we would be talking about it. Different kinds of machine learning algorithms. So for what kind of purpose I need to really choose what kind of machine learning algorithm. Machine learning is all about a bouquet of algorithms which will give instructions to the machine to learn based on the data. So what kind of machine learning algorithm I need to use for what kind of purpose? So broadly, we will talk about what are the different types of machine learning algorithms that are there and what kind of data I need to have to match it to an appropriate algorithm. So these are the various aspects that we are dealing with in this session. So here there is no usage of any kind of a software like R, etc. So this is purely an introductory session where you would be understanding the conceptual aspects regarding how the machines really do the learning process. So, few important things to start with. Machine learning requires a good understanding of statistics. It requires a very good understanding of the databases, the way the data is structured in the databases, the way you can extract the data from the databases. So there's a lot of database science that is involved, and many aspects of computer science like artificial intelligence and various other aspects also do come into picture. Now these are all specialized areas. Now if I have to learn these things the traditional way, then I need to become an expert in all these aspects. But as a user of these various algorithms in business, I will be taking the help of the various tools. R is one of the wonderful tools which is operating in this segment. Of course, you can use any other machine learning tools like SAS, SPSS, etc. But still, because of various other advantages, including the open source nature, including the accessibility to a good number of packages, I would be dealing this entire course of machine learning using R. So, machine learning is nothing but it's a big set of tools where I take the data as an input, apply these various tools and techniques on this data, and then transform this data into a knowledge which I can implement on a new data. So in short, if I have to talk about machine learning, it is nothing but I'm trying to make sense of the complex data. Earlier, if you remember, or probably until a decade or a couple of decades back, if I am talking about data, it used to be like I used to observe something. Based on whatever I am observing, I am making a recording of that in a pen and paper or into a database or into a spreadsheet. But today, I'm not just capturing only the observed information. I have lot of technologies which can do an automated recorded information. So the data is growing like anything. So the databases, the size of the databases is moving away from what used to be a kilobyte or megabyte to a gigabyte to a terabyte to an exabyte or a petabyte. So which is how the data has been growing because of the automated ways of data collection. And today there are lots of electronic sensors, right? We are talking about something called Internet of Things, which is contributing very heavily to the richness of capturing the data. So the data is captured at a much faster pace, in much larger quantity. So the way the data is getting captured, the way the data is getting processed through the use of various technologies is really far sophisticated compared to what a human being can typically do. So this is where the need for machine learning has come up. Human being learning is limited. Now the same human being, if he has to process large volumes of data, it is literally getting tougher and tougher. But the same instructions being given to a machine, the learning process is much faster, much sophisticated. So today the data is more easily available because the data capturing is typically done by various machines. Huge volumes of data is getting captured. So that is where we are using the word big data. The volumes of the data are much higher with the various data capture processes. The data is growing quite abnormally. So which is what has resulted in computing power also to grow quite heavily. And we require new statistical methods. The traditional statistical techniques to analyze the data were more and more limited to samples, were more and more limited to small data sets. Now we are talking about trying to analyze the large data sets where different kinds of newer methods, newer techniques are very essential. And here is where the various mechanisms have come into picture, and I really want to differentiate between these two important words at the beginning itself. One is machine learning, two is data mining. So in machine learning, I know a task, what to be performed, and I am only teaching that particular task to my machine. So I know how to drive a car. I am giving a series of instructions to a machine, which is a robot, as to how to drive a car. So basically the known task right? I know a particular task using that. I'm trying to I'm trying to create